What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. So this week we're going to be covering the team challenge that is going on. I did participate one over the weekend for the Memphis area. And this is the deck we played. We played PikaBox. I've been a fan of Pika for a good minute now. We played it a lot during the Players Cup 1. Players Cup 2, we actually played ADP, and I was deciding, do we play ADP or do we play PikaBox? I decided to go with PikaBox just because my friend Andrew Wambald from the Charizard Lounge was also playing it. He actually gave me this list. The only thing I made a change was I cut the Big Charm. He had a Big Charm originally. I cut it for a second Mewtwo and Mew. I was like, okay, if the philosophy behind the Big Charm was to make Pika stay alive longer, then a second Mewtwo Mew essentially does the same thing, and it can copy Raichu and stuff like that. We are playing 3 Boltunds because Boltstorm is like busted, and you want to go for the turn 1 Electrify. I will have a link down below to a podcast that Andrew kind of talked to me about. It's from the Trash Lance podcast. It has Mike Fouché, Britt Pybus, and I think Britt. Don't quote me out. I can't remember. I've only listened to this one podcast episode. I apologize, but yeah, it was really good information about Pikarom. If you want to learn more about this deck, it's definitely different than what we used to play, because the deck used to play with electric power and stuff like that, and you try to go for the turn 1 Full Blitz, but this one you're actually not doing that anymore because you don't have cards like Thunder Mountain. So it's definitely significantly different to play, but yeah, I think that podcast does a great thing. But Andrew actually won his tournament. No spoilers are mine. You'll just have to watch the week and see how it goes. But I'll talk about his matchups. Round 1 he played against himself. He won both of those. He actually lost in the mirror. I believe he played against Jack. And Jack flipped a bunch of hammers, and that's kind of where this matchup goes with his hammers. Round 3 he played against ADP. He actually lost in 1-2. And then he played Rillaboom, Alolan Exeggutor, which I think would be a hard matchup just because the Alolan Exeggutor has the better significant GX attack that gets rid of all of your energies. But Andrew did win-loss-win. Then he beat Blacephalon on the top 4, and then beat Pikarom in the finals. He lost 1-1. I forgot to ask him if he went first or second. I imagine he went second in all those mirror matches. Definitely going second seems like the phenomenal play against ADP and Pika, and then everything else you want to go first. I could be wrong, but that's definitely what I'm getting the feel of when playing this deck. So congratulations to Andrew from the Charizard Lounge taking a first place spot. He's actually playing for the Yeti. So what we're going to do all this week is we're going to show the games that we played against at the beginning of the video. We're going to break down our opponent's decks, go over that, and always the link to this video will be at the bottom of those. And so we'll include that in every team challenge video this week, and then we'll see if I win, if I didn't win, and future team challenge tournaments, if those do happen. We'll go from there and see what happens. But let's break down the deck. Let's see what it's about. It is definitely interesting. Pika's definitely in probably the #1 spot. This and ADP are definitely the best 2 decks right now. I would 100% agree with that statement. And yeah, so the deck revolves around Boltund V with the Electrify. Search deck for 2 lightning energy, attach them to your bench Pokemon any way you like, then shuffle your deck. So basically you're just powering your Pokemon, you're getting those energies out quickly. Boltstorm is also really strong. It does 10 to 30 more damage each light energy attached to all your Pokemon. So if your opponent's not careful, Boltund V can all of a sudden, double electrify, and then Boltstorm starts doing 1 million damage. Of course, Tapu Koko with the Dance of the Ancients is going to let you get 2 lightnings and choose 2 revenge Pokemon and attach 1 to each of those. So that can, significantly boost the damage out of nowhere. Like a Tapu Koko plus attachment, an additional 90 damage with that Boltstorm. It could come out of nowhere and surprise your opponent to take a knockout. Well, I guess it's not really surprising. They definitely should note that that's happening. But 3 Boltunds, because this is our main guy that we want to start with. We want to get that turn 1 Electrify attack off and pretty much go from there. It might be some justification that you always want to go second with this deck, just so you can always get that turn 1 Boltund V attack off, and that seems very strong. Getting 3 energies turn 1 compared to where you only get 1 if you go first, it definitely does change your mindset when playing this deck. Like I said, you can't attack turn 1, and you can't really attack turn 1 with with Pika. Now, there are some crazy turns, of course, you could, like, you know, attach, hit double Energy Switch, but this deck's not built for that, right? You can play 40 Energy Switch and go for that, but it's not, it's a entirely different deck. I don't think you play 3 Boltund then. I think you're playing like 4 Energy Switch, you're going very aggro and stuff like that. But yeah, that's a totally different deck than this deck. Alright, so Boltund V is our main guy. Now, who you would power up? Well, most of the time, I'm very favoring power Mewtwo and Mew, just for that perfection ability. Now, if people start playing counters to perfection, then of course, that leaves you in a bad situation, and it's not such a good attacker. But a lot of people aren't playing ways to start perfection, and so I think you're okay with doing this. This might change later on, right? He has more HP than Pika, right? 240, 270. You're out of range from Zacian. Unless Zacian plays, like, you know, Zigzagoons, or they start playing Vitality Bands, or I don't know, maybe Leon or something. That could do something to one-shot a Mewtwo Mew. But outside of that, it's pretty safe right now. There's really not too much counter in the format for this guy, so it's pretty cool. Because what's cool about this guy, and you'll see me do it a lot, is you're able to copy any attack, right? And so you can copy like Raichu and Raichu for the tandem shot, and do 160 and put your opponent in place. And if they're not threatening anything, well, you just full blitz at 150, get a bunch of energies in the field to, once again, amp up that Bolt Storm attack, which is very, very strong. So Mewtwo's copy and attacks, of course, we can copy Pikachu Zekrom's full blitz, 150, search deck for 3 lightning cards, and attach them to one of your Pokemon. That's the only unfortunate thing with the full blitz. It does not let you split it like Boltund V does. But still 3-in-1, it's very strong. It's going to power up Raichu and Raichu straight up. You can power it on the Mewtwo Mew. You can power Pika on with the bench if you don't want to attack with Mewtwo Mew. There's some matches, of course, you don't want to attack with this guy if they are going to hit for a psychic weakness. That's all I like about this deck, the versatility of it. And I actually heard about this in the Trash Lunch podcast. I think it was Trash Lunch podcast. Don't quote me on that if I'm wrong. But have we been playing Raichu or Pikachu Zekrom, Raichu and Raichu decks wrong all last year? Not that they were like wrong, but a lot of decks weren't including Mewtwo and Mew. So if we went back to that format and included Mewtwo and Mew, how significant would that have changed? Now, of course, Thunder Mountain is a thing that, you know, Lightning decks to take advantage of. So maybe that's the deciding factor of why we didn't play Mewtwo in the Peak ROM decks. It's because of Thunder Mountain. But still, I think it's pretty good. Then you have Tag Bolt GX, but it's a straight 200. It's one of your stronger attacks that you can just do straight up for 3 energies. But the cool thing is you have 3 extra energy. Of course, you can snipe somebody for 170. And this happens a lot. Another cool thing with this deck is you can Tandem Shock into Full Blitz. And if they don't threaten your Mewtwo, you just like slap the 3 on the active. You're like, okay, next turn we boss order for game. Right? And that was a very strong feeling that I had multiple times, especially this tournament. It's open deck list. You know if your opponent is going to have the one-shot next turn. Or if you're like, okay, they're not threatening a one-shot, let's go for this play. And so that's a really cool thing you can do with this deck, right? If you know your opponent doesn't have the one-shot, you can do something like that, power up Mewtwo Mew, and get a bunch of energies on it. Like I said, Boltund. Okay, we covered Pika. Let's cover Raichu and Raichu. We talked about it over and over again. Tandem Shock, 80 to 80, 160. This is like the primarily attack you're going to use. Lightning Rod is still a good attack though. Lightning Rod does 250 if you have extra lightning extra 2 lightning energy attached to it, and then you switch it on your bench Pokemon. So not only can you move a Mewtwo Mew or a Raichu out of the active to the bench, but you do 250 damage. That's the most you're ever going to do with this attack. Of course, outside of Boltund V is like the sky's the limits with that guy. So yeah, that's your main attackers: Pika, Raichu, and Mewtwo. So that pretty much covers all those. Of course, we talked about Boltund V a lot. Outside of that, we are playing 2 Dedenne for that data change. Static Shot does do 50. You can copy that if you want to. If you just do a solid 50 there. Tingler Turn-GX, I never used it, but it's always an option, right? You can pick up heavily damaged Mewtwo. You can do 50, maybe take a knockout, right? Maybe take a knockout. And then you can return it back into your hand. So you can return a very heavily damaged Mewtwo. It never crossed my mind, I don't think, a tournament, but like the theory behind it seems somewhat relevant if you can pull that play off. There's one Eldegoss, of course, to reuse a supporter card. You love Eldegoss, you hate Eldegoss, and you'll see that in the matches, sure. And one Crobat V for that setup, of course. So, yeah, that's all the Pokemon there. Outside of this, you can maybe play another Raichu and Raichu. You can play like maybe one Mewtwo if you want to. I think 2 DAAs is fine, since we play a lot of supporter cards. You don't want to put too many on the bench, of course, just because like ADP, it's a bad counter, and then like against the mirror, they can just snipe them and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think the Pokemon's fine. Alright, so play 2 Cherish Ball, and you're going to notice about this list, there's no electromagnetic radar. I don't think it's needed. It might be needed. I'll have to test around some more. But during the matches, like, it's really good. Like, Cherish Ball is just going to search for GX Pokemon, right? Most of your cards are GXs, and the ones that are not GXs can actually be searched with electromagnetic radar. So this actually does give you more outs to hit the Mewtwo, which I do like a lot more, whereas, you know, electromagnetic radar, it's limiting very, very much. Let me pull electromagnetic radar if you don't know what I'm talking about for some reason. So it lets you search for GX and EX Pokemon, which means you can't draw for like the V or the Koko, right? But the Cherish Ball then opens it up to, you know, these guys and Mewtwo. So, you know, you don't get 2 of them. You don't get the discard synergy, but I think it's still good because you can just search for GX Pokemon, and you don't have to discard stuff. Like, it's weird because, like, I understand the utilization of, like, discarding with electromagnetic radar, but GX, you know, Cherish Ball just finds you that GX, and you don't have to discard anything, where electromagnetic radar, you are forced to do it. So sometimes you have to discard stuff that you have to. The MVP of your deck has always been Crushing Hammer. If you flip heads, you win. If you flip tails, you lose. It's not, you know, it's not that simple, but, like, it's really good on paper. When you flip heads on Crushing Hammer, discard energy, especially against, like, ADP, when they're playing, like, these 2 or 3 water energies. They attach it early for some reason, like, alright, bop their Crushing Hammer. If they're forced to attach it because they have to Dedenne or Sycamore, and you can Crush and Hammer it off, you're looking really, really good. If you can prevent your opponent from using that Alter Creation attack, it's really good. In other matches, you just play it, just Disruption. It's really good. You don't play, of course, Electric Powers anymore, so that definitely does help out with consistency. Not consistency, but definitely, like, delaying your opponent because your consistency is not 100% set up. So, like, if you can slow down your opponent because you're not as fast as you used to be, then you're doing good. 2 Energy Switch, it seemed fine. I don't know the logic behind the 2 Energy Switch. I know this is what everybody's been playing. Everybody's been playing pretty much like a cut copy of, like, everybody else's list. There is some, like, definitely changes in this list that we play over others. But 2 Energy Switches, I guess, is fine. I have no idea what the theory behind the only 2, like, why not 3? Why not 1? Why 2? I have no idea. But 2 Energy Switch just lets you move energy out of nowhere. It's good. It's a good card. You have to play it. Do I know the exact counts? No, I don't. I'm not gonna lie to you. For Quick Ball, everybody's a basic. Quick Ball is going to find your basics. You're discarding stuff. You're not discarding 2 electromagnetic radar, so that's really cool. 2 Reset Stamp. Now, this is a really, really good card because Reset Stamp, okay, so let's say, like, right, you're attacking with Mewtwo or Raichu, right, or Pika, whatever. They take a knockout. By then, when you're attacking with these guys, you should have enough energy for Boltund V to swing. And then if they knock out a Boltund V, you go, okay, cool, Reset Stamp to 1, and you punish your opponent. And that is something really, really cool with this deck because, you know, they have to deal with the GXs because they're your main attackers. And then, like, okay, if I don't knock out this Boltund V and I whiff and knock onto the GX on the bench because they are so high, you know, HP cap Pokemon, then Boltund V just takes a knockout. So then you're like in this situation, like, what do I do here? And I think that's a really cool thing with this deck. I do like that a lot. And if you knock out one of these, you have to knock out another one of these to win the game. And if you're just not going to knock out another Dedenne or something, then, like, okay, Boltund V just, like, takes the game. So I think it's a cool transition you can do with this deck, and then Reset Stamp them to 1, and then you can win games that way. We do see that come up in these tournaments for sure. Force Switch, very ideal. You want to get the turn 1 Boltund V off. We are playing 2 Air Balloons, so everybody does have a 2 retreat cost or less. But cards like PikaRom has a 3 retreat cost. Everybody else should have a 2 or less outside of PikaRom. So that's a good thing about the Air Balloons. But being able to switch and then go back into a Tandem Shock is definitely what the key thing is here. You want to be able to activate that Tandem Shock over and over again if needed to paralyze your opponent. Just because a lot of other decks outside of Pika aren't playing Force Switch, or they're discarding the switches early to be aggro like ADP is. So it's very cool. 1 Chaotic Swell, which I guess seems enough right now to counter the Power Plants and stuff like that. If Power Plant's the right card I'm thinking of, I think it's Power Plant, right? It's Power Plant. That's the one that shuts down Mewtwo. I almost did Sound Lab. Yeah, there's Power Plant, shut down GX and EX abilities. I think the 1 is fine because with the 1, it's essentially like, you know, it buys you 2 extra turns. And those 2 extra turns might be enough to win the game because, you know, you put it down, you can attack, whatever, you counter stadium, whatever you need to. Like, if they put down a Power Plant, you put down the Swell. And if they're not playing a Power Plant, you don't care, you just put down the Swell whenever. But if they do play the 2 Power Plants, you wait till they put down a plant, then you put down a Swell to counter, and then, like, their next Power Plant that's also ate up by the Swell, so these 1 Swell prevents 2 Power Plants. Does that make sense? So it's a really cool card. I like the 1 of. It seems really good. I never came across a Power Plant deck, but that is definitely what the Swell is in there for. So, and also it's just really good if everyone is playing a Stadium card. You can just wait till they put down the Stadium card. You put down the Swell. It definitely counts. It's like technically 2 Stadium cards at that point because the Swell does nothing for us. It just disrupts your opponent. 3 Boss Order. Of course, you want to play 4. That's the iffy card. You want to play 4 of these. We only play 3. But then you have Tapu Koko GX, so things get kind of weird because you can sign up the bench and stuff like that. So, iffy card, just, you know, use your resources carefully. 4 Marnie for disruption. Very, very good card because you are able to draw cards with speed and Dedenne and Crobat and stuff like that. And you really don't need much with this deck. You just need to Boltund V, you know, electrify, then you're pretty much swinging. So, if you can disrupt your opponent, if you can hammer plus Marnie, you're looking really good. Disruption plus put them down to 4 cards is always a really good thing. You're still paying 4 research course to draw 7 cards. And we're actually playing 2 Yellow Grunt. Now, there's some lists that played 1. And now you see more commonly people are playing 0. But being able to, like, hammer your opponent's energy, then Yellow Grunt it back one in their hand, and then stamp them is such a huge disruption that you'll see over and over again. If you're able to, like, guaranteed, like, 2 energy card removal, your opponent is probably not attacking next turn. So that's a really cool thing you can do with this deck. 2 Air Balloon, of course, for that free retreat for 2 or less. We see 3 speed, lightning, and once again, I don't know the difference between, like, 4 speed and 3 and stuff like that. Like, I've always been a fan of the 10-4. Like, that's what I've always played. But Andrew's list at 3. I think this is, once again, a very cut and dry, like, copy pasta kind of deck that we're playing today. But I at least want to explain what's happening. But speed is going to let you draw 2 cards. And the cool thing about speed, it still provides a lightning energy when you attach to anybody, but you don't get the added effects of drawing 2 cards. It's 10 lightning energy, sure, why not? We're playing 13 energies. Once again, I hate odd numbers for energy, so this has kind of been bugging me. But I don't know what you could with it. You could have Yellow Grunt for the 4th speed or something. I don't know. The thing about speed, though, it's not that great because you are, like, prioritizing Mewtwo and Mews. I guess it is very good on Boltund Vs, but then, like, when they get hammered off, then it's kind of useless. So that is what they get to worry about. So that's the deck. The big things that you might see people is they might play 0 Yellow Grunt and, like, 2 Electromagnetic Radar. They might play, like, 4 Boss Order. The 4 Hammer is definitely, like, a staple now in Pika decks, just like the Disruption, because you're not super fast. And some lists are only playing 2 Boltons. I think the lists now that are doing somewhat better are playing the 3, so that's not a surprise anymore. I do think the 3 is great. But like I said before, Andrew did a fantastic job with this list. I don't know 100% like the reason is behind like the 2 energy switch, and the 2 Yellow Grunts are just really good. Like turn 1 Disruption, like a water energy, and making it harder for ADP to set up is always great. ADP decks only play like 2 or 3 waters to begin with, and then like they only play 2 ADP, so they have to like super dig for the ADP and the water energy. Yes, they're playing like 3 spinners or 2 spinners or 1 spinners, whatever, but still, I think you're okay as long as you can make it where they can't attack. Like the GX attack is pretty like it's going to happen, right? But making it where they can't attack with ADP is always really strong because they can't find those energies, and I think that's why you have somewhat of a weird ADP matchup. I haven't figured out the 100% of ADP matchup. If I can get that on lock, then we're looking really, really good. But I think the deck has answers to everything. Like Colossal, you can even beat. Eternatus might be something else. Eternatus used to be Shaky Pika until you added Crushing Hammers and Yell Grunts. And with the inclusion of that, it's actually really good. And against Eternatus as well, if you Yell Grunt, they actually can't, like, if they for some reason play Energy Patch, or whatever it's called, a Turbo Patch, or whatever the card's called, they don't actually get to accelerate that, so that's something really cool. And once again, these tournaments are open deck lists, so you can see your opponent is playing. It definitely, that helps a lot, right? And I think it's a cool thing. So this week, we're going to be showcasing my opponent's decks. We're going to see the matches of Pika versus whatever it is. And we'll see how that goes. So I'm excited to show this off. We'll see how Pika does. Nothing too exciting for today. Just a breakdown of Pika, Mewtwo. I don't know what to call this deck. Psychic, Lightning. I don't know. I just always call it PikaBox or Pika Boys. Like, Pika Boys has always been my answer when I'm playing. Like, oh, what you playing? Oh, Pika Boys. And I'm like, oh, okay, what is Josh talking about? I'm like, I don't know, man. But yeah, I'm excited to play in some tournaments. If I have time, man, I want to play more Pokemon tournaments. I just love playing Pokemon, so it's always really fun to play in tournaments, stuff like that. But guys, there we go. This is actually on my real account. That's why you don't see, like, there's all blinged out and stuff like that. Like, oh my goodness, where's all your rainbow cards? Well, this is the real account. This is what we're going with. Also, shout out to Sosa for hooking me up with a third Boltund V. I didn't have 3. I only had 2. And so, like, Sosa came in clutch. And, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Sosa. And shout out to Andrew for sure. And shout out to my opponents for good Saturday. It was a lot of fun. A lot of positivity in the Memphis chat as well. So it was really cool to see that, especially everything that happened. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Nisha and Clea as well for throwing the event. And yeah, have a great day. If you have any talks about Pika ROM, if you have questions, let me know. If you know the theory behind the 2 energy switches, let me know as well. I'd be curious of that. And yeah, there's my breakdown of Pika ROM. So hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully you learned something new. They understand some cards, mechanics behind this. And have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow for the first video. Alrighty, bye.